Hey, DCL podcast fans, it's Steve. A couple things came out after we actually recorded this episode. There have been some reports that there are actually new Castaway Key 5K medals. People have actually been getting them on the Dream at Castaway Key, although Christy was just on the Wish, as you'll hear. And at least on board the Wish, they had nothing available. And they really didn't know. And that's something that we've seen over the years, sailing with Disney Cruise Line. There are some things that everybody knows in the fleet. And then there's sometimes you'll be on a ship and you'll ask them about it. Well, they're doing it on the other ship, and on the ship that you're on, they don't know anything about it. So unfortunately, sometimes things take a little while to kind of get put out fleet wide. So it looks like there's going to be some new Castaway Key 5K medals, but your results may vary depending upon which ship you're on and when you're sailing. In addition, as announced at the D23 Expo, the Disney Wonder is going to be sailing down to Australia in 2023, and we kind of speculate on some information based on an article later on in this episode, which you'll see. There's some good information there, even though at the time when we recorded this, we didn't know it hadn't been officially announced. There is a 13-night sailing from Honolulu down to Sydney, which is going to be in October, and then also a 15-night sailing, which comes back in February from Sydney to Honolulu. Of course, there's sailings back and forth to Hawaii out of Vancouver to meet up with those two sailings, and then the whole time while she's down in Australia, she will be doing sailings out of Melbourne, Sydney, and over in Auckland for mostly 2-3 night sailings. There's a couple other sailings that are a little bit longer, but really it looks like sailings that are mostly made for people who live down there in Australia and in the New Zealand area to finally be able to experience Disney Cruise Line. All of the information on these sailings is available if you go over to the Disney Cruise Line website. Bookings begin October 3rd for those for those repositioning cruises out to Hawaii and then down to Sydney. For Platinum Cruise members, October 3rd. Gold Castaway Club members on October 4th. Silver Castaway Club members on October 5th. And for the general public on October 6th. And on September 29th is when the sailings bookings window comes open for those sailings that are going to be featured down in Australia and New Zealand itself. So just want to give you that quick update before we jump into this episode, since we can talk about things that, well, we've come to learn a little bit more on since we actually recorded this episode. But a lot of good information in this episode as well. Hope you enjoy it. And now, as they say, on with the show. Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you cruise a little bit smarter. And I'd like to welcome to the show all the way down in Florida. We haven't seen her for a while. We've been busy, all of us. How you doing today, Christy?
We have been busy. I have been busy. I am well, Steve. How are you?
Not too bad.
The rain needs to leave Florida. This is a time, if you are coming, it rains every evening. Starts at like 3:00. Whatever time school gets out is when the rain starts. And it's just ridiculous.
And all the way down in Burbank, she's wishing there was some rain down there because it's been an oven. How you doing today, Chris?
Pretty good. We have had an unseasonable heat wave, y'all. I'm talking like 107 degrees for I want to say 5 days in a row. In fact, when they send out those alerts to your phone to be like, someone got stolen. They sent that out to every person in LA County's cell phone to say, turn off your air conditioner now, or we're going to have blackouts. Like, it was that bad. The power grid was being overwhelmed. But you know what? It was a pleasant 90 today, so I'm happy.
And Steve is dying because we just spent 3 minutes talking about weather.
People need to hear it. It's summer.
That's the way podcasts start. You talk about something inane and then we jump into it. And Christy, why were you busy today?
So thanks Disney, released some Disney Plus offers for both Walt Disney World and Disney Cruise Line. The Disney Cruise Line is obviously the one that's a little bit more exciting. This has never happened that I can recall. Disney Plus subscribers, and you can sign up the day you decide to book a cruise, who book a cruise on an available sailing, which is a sailing from January 2nd, basically through the end of April on the Magic, Dream, and Fantasy on non-blacked out cruises. So there's a couple of weeks that there's nothing available. Can get the third and fourth guest free. Like, you pay taxes and gratuities. I saved a family like $2,400 for a cruise off of a cruise they have booked in February. That's huge.
So question, it said full fare guests. So does that mean that no guaranteed cabins or, taking the 10% off or whatever, if you have a onboard booking credit or anything like that? So you've got to pay the full fare for the first 2 guests.
Yeah, it's not being stacked with anything. So you're not using like a military rate or a Florida resident rate, which I don't know that any of those are out for next year anyway, but you're not doing any of that and able to book this deal. And let me just tell you that you can cruise the Fantasy the week of President's Day, which is not always something that is offered for this discount. So basically your kids sail free, right? If you have guests 3 and 4 as kids, or throw some adults, you guys can like jam a whole bunch of you into a cabin and share the cost. I don't know. It's pretty big. These prices are so reasonable for families to be able to cruise. So I was just very excited about that. There's still quite a bit of availability for a lot of today. I don't know when the show is going to air, but for a lot of today, the website was down and consumer facing and travel agent facing website was just down. It was a day, but it's a fun day. Started at 6:45 and got people booked.
I said there was a virtual queue that they were putting people into if you're going to the website and trying to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So we are recording September 8th. This is our September Cabana show. If you haven't noticed, we're going to touch on a bunch of different topics. Also, I saw that it says it applies to select staterooms and categories. So not all staterooms and categories. So your results may vary across the cruises and the ships.
Yeah, the family verandas are tough. You can call and get some specialty opportunities or family cabins so that you could put 5 in there. But for a general rule, you can't put yourself in the family verandas are less available if you have a party of 5. And then concierge is excluded as well.
So again, booking started today, September 8th. They go through cruises that go through April of 2023. They're not on all the cruises. They're on select cruises, select cabins, and you can book through March 1st, 2023 to take advantage of that. And Christy, what did you book for Chris and I? So you and Dave booked a cruise and you're taking Chris and I with us as the 3rd and 4th, right?
Sure. All of our children could just stay home and watch each other.
They can deal with it.
No, I have 0 space to go on a cruise between January and April of next year. We have school. No cruises here.
The same here. Okay. Go to the website, Disney Cruise Line. You can find out all the information there. There are a couple other more little odds and ends to these bookings. So you'll want to take a look at that before you actually book it, or talk to your travel agent, such as Christy, if they want to use your services. If you're not busy, hopefully she'll answer her phone because it's ringing off the hook. How can they get a hold of you?
You can find me at Christy@packyourpixiedust.com is my email. You can go to Pack Your Pixie Dust and get my phone number. And just, if you didn't write down my email, it is in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Well, let's move on to topic number 2. Chris, Halloween on the high seas sailing start here soon.
They sure do. September 11th on all 5 ships, and they go all the way through October 31st on all 5 ships. Let's see. We did just release or record an episode. Steve, did you say it's out? So you should go and listen to that if you have any questions about what the vibe is like on Halloween on the high seas. But these offerings are available across the fleet. So it doesn't matter if you're going to be sailing between September 11th and October 31st, you're going to get a Halloween on the high seas sailing. So get hyped for that, I guess.
And there's a picture that went out with a cow. What is like, shows how much I paid attention to that picture.
Oh,
you missed it because the shade that was thrown by Disney with poor Clarabelle cow there.
It is rough. Clarabelle randomly is making an appearance. And some of you, I get it, you love Clarabelle. But it's Clarabelle, Daisy, and Minnie are dressed as the Sanderson sisters.
Oh.
And by the way, that's not a DCL exclusive. There are the Sanderson sisters, at least at Oogie Boogie Bash. I don't know if they're in Disney World as well, but you can meet these Sanderson sisters here in Anaheim if you are so inclined and you want to see them at the Oogie Boogie Bash. So anyway, they're adorable costumes. It's fun to see them. Unfortunately, they also gave all of the other characters new homemade costumes in the parks, at least here in the US. Like the theme is like, oh, the Fab Five decided to make their own costumes. And so like Mickey is a pumpkin, but he's like a homemade pumpkin. And Donald is everybody's least favorite Halloween candy corn, like a homemade candy corn.
Oh yeah, you loved that.
Loved that for him. So that's cute. There's lots of opportunities to see cool Halloween things, and it looks like they're carrying that across the brand. So you could see that on DCL or over here.
The thing is, to me, candy corn shaped things. Like I have this candy corn. I'm showing us a picture of it now. Candy corn shaped Halloween items are possibly my favorite decoration. I don't know why. Would never eat the candy. And all I can think of is Chris's reaction to Donald anytime I see any reference to Donald. So frankly, I cannot even love Donald because we've had so many years of Chris's opinion of Donald.
I'm slowly poisoning the Donald well.
You are. So we still have our people. We know there's a handful at least out there that love Donald, but you got to admit, candy corn Donald is cute.
Yeah, sure.
So episode 312, it came out today, September 8th. If you want to check out the vibe of Halloween on the High Seas, we touch on what we experienced, and then we also touch on what they've announced that they will be having. Our family's going to be on the end of October, so watch for us to come back from there, and I'll tell you what we experienced. And there was one mistaken part of that episode was that Donald didn't make the ship. I think, Chris, you mentioned that, but Donald will be on all the sailings. Did
I make that mistake? Oh no.
The Fab Five, you'll see them all except for Donald, who was late to the ship and across the fleet, Donald was late. The poor duck. Anyways, no love there. All right, let's move on to topic number 4. Some of these I think are kind of highlights. Chrissy, you just got off the Disney Wish for the 3rd time. Oh my gosh, some people have even sailed on her once, and this is 3 times for you.
I mean, it was a summer of the Wish, right? Or cruising, I guess. We can't forget about that magic trip. But I needed to experience more things. So yes, I was just on the Wish again.
We are going to come out with another episode with another friend of yours. We were going to feature you were in concierge this time, the dueling keys that I always wondered what that was. I didn't know what that was. And it took me a couple of cruises to figure out that was concierge.
Oh, it's lovely. I love that symbol.
Yeah. So we're going to come back and do an episode with, is it Rachel?
Yes. And then we did a snippets episode, which isn't like a full trip report. So we're going to cover a couple minutes of it here as well. That cruise coming up in a couple minutes. But yes, we're going to do a whole concierge on the Wish because there are a few things that are different about concierge on the Wish versus other ships.
Like if you stay in the funnel suite, which is concierge, right?
Yes.
You have direct access to the Dino District. And I know that now that has been circled on Chris's bucket list.
I mean, are you kidding? They can literally walk out of their bathroom straight into the club. It is like ideal placement.
You have literally no other outside access. So I guess if you can exit your cabin and go down a slide, there you go.
If nobody knows what we're talking about, was it a TikTok video?
Oh, maybe. It might have been TikTok. All good things are TikTok.
I can't remember what it was. I'll try and find a link, and if I can put it in the show notes, I will. But it was somebody put up a video, and he was waking up in his bed with his swimsuit on, and he goes, "The best part about this suite is," he walks through a couple doors, he opens it up, and he's in the club. The music's going, and he jumps down the slide, and I can't remember the name of the slide.
Oh, it's Chris's Dino slide. I mean, all I can think of
Slidosaurus Rex, excuse me, and it's right across from Trixie Falls. I have to say, probably the best thing about staying in the Wish Suite is that you're rich enough to stay in the Wish Suite. Like, let's be real, but they do have very good access to the Dino District. In the video, you can see the club atmosphere. There's music, there's darkness. It's great. So
the lights, the vibe,
the whole vibe, everything is immaculate.
All right, well, let's turn our focus off the Dino District, which I know we could probably do a whole show on the Dino District. But Chrissy, you want to talk about a couple of different things? DVC on board. DVC has a big space now on the Wish. What did you want to talk about with this?
one of our listeners had said, what does DVC do on board? And so it's not just on the Wish, because that part, you don't have to go into some like basement cabin where you wonder what is happening to you while you follow some. So this is on every other ship. You're taken, if you want to go and talk to a DVC host to talk more about guide, to talk more about DVC, you are taken into this basement cabin and walk down halls, and they've taken a cabin over, 2 cabins, and turned it into an office. So on the Wish, you don't have to go through the sketchy hallway with a person and you're like, is this where I get taken? Like, what is going to happen to me here? So on the Wish, in the very middle of deck 5, there's a ton of office spaces so they can do those meetings with you without you going into the scary hallway, which isn't scary, but whatever. Who's walking into ship cabins with like random people? So this is all. If you're interested in joining DVC, we've done a couple of episodes on it. You can find them on a ship. You do get like bonus money that can either come off your contract or go onto your shipboard account. But if you're already a member of DVC, the one thing our listener was asking is like, what do they do on board? And Steve, you've experienced this before as a DVC member. You basically show up, they'll scan your shipboard account, see that you're a DVC member. They've in the past used to ask to see your card, and now they don't. So the only reason they'd have to see your DVC card member ID is if they're not linked into your cruise account for whatever reason. But for the most people, they're linked. A couple of things that happen: you will have DVC lanyards in your cabin when you board. You will get a DVC magnet on your cabin door. You can get gifts every day, they say. So the current gifts are, you can fast forward for 30 seconds if you don't want to hear. But there's a new like string backpack, which is kind of cute. It's like a little bit better than a regular string backpack because there's a couple of pockets. So I know you used it somewhere, Steve, like you were using it as like your beach bag or something around the ship once on one of the cruises. They have luggage tags. They also have a new DVC pop socket. So that's what they're giving out on the Wish right now as well. And you can like show up every day and get a gift, or you could show up at one time towards the end of the cruise and they'll just give you all the available gifts. And they're just giving it to you like, hey, are you sure you don't want to buy more points? Like definitely was asked that on this last cruise. They also will call you before your cruise to say, hey, you're coming on a cruise. Don't forget to stop by on deck 4 or 5, depending on which ship it is. So I guess those are the inclusions or the little things that you can receive, I guess, gifts as a DVC member on a cruise, or you can join and become a DVC member.
The string backpack is legit. That thing's actually pretty nice, better than the goofy hats that they used to give out. So
yeah, and they'll give you like several. If you have a family of 3, they'll just like give you the family of 3. Right now, too, because I know people love that DVC backpack, the one like the real, not string backpack, but the real DVC backpack with like Mickey and his like water bottle or whatever in front. They are giving that backpack away if you purchase a DVC contract on the cruise. So you can leave with a backpack, a real one.
And if
for
you're really
the low price of $50,000.
Exactly. I mean, you can get points for way less than that.
No, I know.
They usually do presentations. They were off. They turned those off during the pandemic part. I think that those are back. So check on the ship, check on the app when you get on board if you're interested. They usually do a presentation the first day for the members. In normal times, they usually give you some free drinks, which they're not my favorite. But if you want a free drink, you could go there and get that. And it's, to be honest, it's kind of like a rah-rah, a little bit of a sales pitch. They have, the thing that I missed was the very first time we sailed, we actually bought DVC points on the Wonder. And they had a DVC members only party up on the deck when we went into the glacier.
Really?
Yeah. They had whole.
Is that why you bought?
No, we weren't members yet, so we didn't get invited. But they had like the whole front of the ship like blocked off, and they were doing a barbecue up there and everything like that. So they used to do a lot of really cool things, I think, for members on board. That kind of went away. I'd love to see that come back if they do.
Well, it won't happen now.
Yeah. Anyways,
we need Disney to spend some money on stuff, and then it will. Okay,
so watch the app. So chances they'll definitely the thing that will definitely come back is, if it's not already back, which I think it is back, is those presentations for new members to come and buy points.
Which is usually Oh, you don't even have to. You can buy points, but they usually do like a giveaway. And like Steve said, you get the drinks and there's like some sort of trivia and stuff like that. That is usually the first day of the cruise.
Okay, let's turn to Castaway Key 5K medals. A lot of scuttlebutt about that on message boards and everything like that. I'm not on any of the message boards, but I've heard people talking about it, that possibly they are going away. What'd you find out, Christy?
I asked people who know things on Disney. And as of right now, all the medals are basically out, gone, fleet wide. Like this particular person was like, if you were going to do it, I might be able to find you a medal in like a box somewhere. So like a medal, like they said that there's no current plans to bring back the Castaway Key medal.
Which is sad.
Very sad.
I know there's a lot of us enjoyed it. I wonder though. I mean, sometimes they make decisions and like for us that like enjoyed that, we're like, oh, that's sad, that stinks. But maybe there was like decline in numbers of people wanting to do it.
There were like at least 100 or 200 people per sailing that wanted to do that. And it is pennies to make those medals. It is an added thing that makes DCL a premium cruise line, and they're getting rid of it. So it's a bad call, bad decision. It required so little effort on their part that I'm just baffled by it, honestly.
And you know what I think they're going to do is they're going to bring it back and charge you for it.
If that happens. Now, listeners, I know that you all are a little confused about something that Steve said earlier. He used the term scuttlebutt. Don't worry, I've looked it up for you. It's an early 19th century term denoting water butt on the deck of a ship, providing drinking water. Sailors would traditionally exchange gossip when they gathered around the scuttlebutt to drink water. Steve, you have predated the water cooler with scuttlebutt. Are you kidding me? I had to Google. I couldn't even focus on Disney's bad decision with the medals. Okay, now that we're caught up, the medals are a bad choice. It is much scuttlebutt. You're right.
This reminds me when I was on the Wish, we walked out as Pirate Night, as the Pirate Parlay was about to start, and they were talking about the poop deck. Think of things to actually Google. Are you guys familiar where that phrase came from? So Steve shook his head. Yes. How about you, Chris?
No, but I'm Googling. Do I have to Google? You're going to tell me.
No, I'm going to let you Google it and you can explain it because you do such a good thing with scuttlebutt.
Poop deck origin.
So Chris is going to look it up and make sure that she gets the right words. And let me just say that when I was in law school, I took a maritime law course and clearly was wasting all my thousands of dollars on this credit, but it was enjoyable. And my favorite line from the case that I had to read and present on was that something about, oh man, now I forgot, but the poop deck is an improper place to store the cheese.
Oh my gosh. The name originates from the French word for stern, which is le poop, from Latin pupus. Oh my gosh. Thus, the poop deck is technically a stern deck, which in sailing ships was usually elevated as the roof of the stern or after cabin, also known as the poop cabin.
And it was also like the bottom where...
Wait, no, you were in the Air Force. I almost asked if you were in the Navy. Yeah.
I think that's where Pepe Le Pew worked, was on the poop deck.
Improper place to store the cheese, people.
All right, continuing with the pirate theme. Okay, so 5K medals, probably gone. They may be able to find one in the back room for you, but good luck. We'll see if they come back. Pirate Night also, bandanas that they used to put in the stateroom, no longer on the Wish, Christy?
They are not on the Wish. They are not giving them out on the Wish. They've acknowledged they're not giving them out. And I believe there's been reports that they are for sale in the gift shop in Mickey's main sale.
Okay, a little bit nicer ones from the picture I saw, but
I thought the other ones were great.
Yeah,
but they are still being given out on other ships. So it's only the Wish that you're not getting that Pirate Night bandana right now.
Yeah, but that probably means that the other ships had a supply. And once that supply dries up, it'll be a fleet-wide change.
Possibly, yeah.
Most likely. But I will say the Pirate Night on the Wish is amazing.
Amazing. Pirate Parlay.
Yes. So much. I don't want to see so much better than the other ones because I know that people love the ones on the other ship too. But I love
this
the one on
one
Wish.
is rocking.
Yeah.
If they're taking the money, the pennies that they're saving on those bandanas that they left in the room
true.
and investing it into a live fireworks show with a pirate band, I'm into it.
Yeah, 80s music. I think Wake just pretty much embarrassed Alex in front. He was so embarrassed with her dance and everything like that to that 80s music. All right, Christy, before I lose my voice here, highlights from your cruise. Anything you want to touch on that was a little bit different?
Night.
Pirate Night.
So our cruise had 3,800 passengers, which was the highest sailing of the Wish so far. Every cabin that was for sale was actually sold, and there could have been more actual butts in beds, but this was the number, right, of passengers, 3,800. There were a bunch of double occupancy. I will just say that we could feel the passengers. Like at one point we left dinner. This would have been the third night. And we walked by Mickey's mainsail, and that line was, and we left late because we were served late, but that line was 40 deep, at least, of people trying to check out and purchase stuff at Mickey's mainsail. So there was only a few hours left of the cruise or whatever, or of the store being opened. 40 deep of people in line. So there were just times when you felt the crowds a bit. There was one time too, we showed up for dinner. We didn't show up. We went to deliver Blake. Okay, so let me just say really quick what this cruise was. It was a 3-night on the Wish. There were actually a lot of first-time cruisers, like first-time ever cruisers, and then first-time Disney cruisers doing this 3-night over Labor Day weekend. That to me was just unique because the 3-night is so much work to get to, right? And it's like a 2.5-day cruise. For us, we enjoyed it. I like the long weekend away. We've done this cruise before because back in the day, Blake's daycare would have been closed, and we were just like, let's go do something. Let's go to Orlando and go on a cruise. And now most people, obviously they have Monday off, some people have Friday off. So it's kind of like a good getaway. But this cruise, my neighbors went with us. We had booked this on opening day or within a couple of days of opening day. We booked concierge. We are going to do a whole concierge episode, as we discussed earlier. And then our listeners and friends were on the ship as well with their 11-year-old. And so the kids got to spend a little bit of time together, which was nice. And us adults got to spend a little bit of time. I went to Match Your Mate on the Wish for the first time, and that was fun. Even in the different space, it was still a good show. Luna.
Yes.
Yeah. So Luna is a 2-floor entertainment space. They do Match Your Mate there. So if you wanted to try to get on Match Your Mate, I don't know why anybody would. Kidding. But we know Chris has been
there, done that.
Can still not even believe that. And then our friends tried to get on, and they were not picked. They were close, but I think it was taken from them. These other people were not as entertaining. So if you want to be picked, you definitely need to be on the first floor. Some other highlights. I have to say this because there's a lot of people that listen to our show. Steve has got his Castaway medal out. There's a lot of people that listen to our show that have food allergies. With this ship right now, there are a lot of new crew members, and we noticed this on our sailing. There was our group sailing that we all did together, our friends sailing, I guess. There were a lot of earning their ears. My girlfriend and I are both celiac, and so gluten-free, medically gluten-free. We cannot have gluten. They attempted to serve us gluten-containing bread like more than one time and told us it was fine and that we could eat it. And then we would be like, this is gluten-free. And they're like, this is fine. We know it's not. So we knew that it wasn't good to eat, but you really just, if your bread basket is being served to you and you can have gluten, looks like everybody else's, you just are going to have to ask, because there was always this presumption that Disney has their food allergy protocol down. And right now they just might not. On one night of our cruise, also, I was served a salad with croutons in it. And on the Magic, I have had croutons before, like beautifully made croutons. So I was like, are these gluten-free? And then the guy's like, yeah. And then we brought it a second time. And I said, are you sure? Or because he delivered it to the wrong person first and was delivering it to me, but she was also gluten-free. So she was going to eat. be eating it as well. And I said, but are you sure these croutons are gluten-free? Because they look like what my husband was served. Because he had said yes already. And then he was like, oh, let me go see. And then he leaves with it. And they were not gluten-free. And so this is just something like this would be very bad for me. And it would be very bad for somebody else with an allergy. And so you definitely just want to make sure you're following up. And if something doesn't seem right, and making sure it's your peanut allergy item or your gluten-free item, whatever your situation might be.
I think that's a good point. There are a lot of new cast members throughout the fleet. I can't remember who it was. Was it Royal that just announced that they were canceling some
NCL?
Those because they just can't staff the ships. So
and this, yeah. So as Steve was saying, this is for every line and every fleet. Everybody's short staffed, and all these lines are putting in new crew members that just might not know.
So a lot of reasons for that, why they're short staffed, but just be aware that that's a reason why you're seeing so many new crew members on board, because others have not come back. Others can't come back. A lot of different reasons. So just be aware of where it could affect you in ways like that.
Let's just stay with the allergies really, really quick. We talked about this briefly when we talked about our Friends cruise, but I just want to make sure if you have an allergy, they're going to give you an allergy menu, which is awesome. But depending on what your allergy is, make sure you also take the regular menu, because some items aren't listed as a choice, like especially for gluten, because the allergy menu lists like 7 or 8 allergens. And these dishes all cover, or almost all cover, all 8 allergens. But the regular menu might have things that have dairy in it, so they can't be on the other menu, but you can eat it still, and they're going to be marked gluten-free. So you want to make sure you can order off of that menu. So make sure you're getting both so that you can review and see what it is you want. Yeah, so that's it on allergies. Just watch it.
I kind of want to do a lightning round with you with just quick answers on a couple of things. But before we do that, I know a lot of people are going to ask about hyperspace. Any updates on hyperspace? Still tough to get into?
No, I mean, less tough. We have been placing this on Instagram that you can make your hyperspace lounge reservation from the terminal. So as soon as you're on Disney's Wi-Fi, that includes in the ship. So if you don't get it in advance because you showed up sort of late and then you get on the ship, and not everybody on the ship knows, because my friend asked one of the crew members, oh, so where we can book hyperspace on this app? And she's like, no, you have to go to wherever. So yes, you can. As soon as you're on the ship's Wi-Fi and go into the app, you can book hyperspace. And then if they have it even has it subdivided between family times and then, it's who you pick. So if you have kids that you want to take with you that are obviously not 18, I believe it is the cutoff, then it will only show you daytime hours. Versus if all of your party were adults, they'll show you day and night hours. And then it looks like they're doing an open house from 9 to 11 every day in the lounge, so that you can just go in and see it and experience it.
I'm just curious if you feel like this is a better experience compared to the other ships.
It's a different experience. You know what I was thinking? Is there's that idea of that this really is, it's the ship is the experience and not maybe the destination. And somebody was saying something about less windows, and then somebody else was talking about the castle on the sea. And it really is less about being outdoors. You can't even you don't even know where the deck 4 exit is. Oh, and the crew members are so sad about not having their running track. They do have treadmills in the poop deck, probably, but they do have treadmills on the ship, full circle. And so they can use those, but they definitely miss running outside. Yeah. There's just not as much outside. So I don't always love that, because I love, watching the ocean go by. It really depends on what you want. You can relax though easily too on the ship, or you could do a ton of stuff. So if you want to there's so much to do. And so you can be busier, especially on these shorter cruises, for the whole time, if that's something you're interested in.
I think the way they utilize space by the dining rooms being smaller, people being crammed in, but then allowing them to have more lounges will probably continue on the next 2 ships. But I think there's going to be some major changes when it comes to the next one.
Well, and I wonder too about the dining spaces because they are getting a lot of feedback about that. So a couple more things really quick. If you request your own table on the Wish, you definitely may not get it because there's just not enough space. So I think I started talking about this and then we stopped. So my neighbors took Blake to the Marble restaurant the night Dave and I went to Palo, and we showed up. I showed up to drop him off. There weren't enough seats at the table. Like our Palo reservation was later in the evening, and it was even later in the evening, like as far as they knew, because we had said, oh, we have Palo at such and such time, and then whatever. If Dave and I had wanted to show up to like feed Blake in this restaurant before, there was no seats for us. And there were tables on all sides, so no seat could be added. Like, how do you not have enough seats for the people that are supposed to sit at your table at dinner? Just like and I asked the waiter that. I did ask, and no one had an answer for me as to what happened there and what would have happened if we had all shown up for dinner. Like, because you can cancel Palo. What if we had gone to brunch and decided not to go to dinner? You know, whatever, like really dumb, no seats. And then the tables are so close together as well. The dining staff is complaining about that too, and the officers, and they are hearing that feedback from people. So I think I am curious how that is all going to work on the next ship.
Well, Chris, D23 is this weekend.
Yes.
Want to talk about that just real quick?
Well, before we do that, a couple more things about the Wish. This is Blake's favorite ship. He would cruise the Wish every single cruise if he could, and is in love with the Kids Club in all the little sections. And we actually took him to see Seize the Adventure too on the first day, and he loved it. So, you know, there's good. And Seize the Adventure is still very good as well. There is good. Oh, and Arendelle. So we obviously sat through that show again, and it's just amazing still. It's so amazing. There is good to be had.
I think that she's been much maligned and not deservedly so in a lot of different ways. But I think there's going to be some change. Yeah, in some ways there is. And I think that hopefully they're going to address those changes in the next ship and hopefully make the next two.
So Chris and I, when we were walking on the Wish, we would see the light fixtures and how it would be like the Cinderella coach reflection. On the other floors, it's other little characters reflecting up there. The Imagineers went amazingly above and beyond designing the design elements of the ship. And so when all of you listeners go on the ship, walk through the hall down to your cabin and look up and look at the light fixture and the reflection of the little characters in the little square around the light fixture. It is amazing. And then go to another floor and walk from floor to floor and see their light fixture reflection. And it's different and it's amazing.
I think Andrew noticed that. He's good with noticing, like, you know, small details and things like that. He pointed that out the first night as we were walking back. That's a really cool touch. Okay, quick lightning round. Just quick answers here. Favorite lounge now still?
The Bayou.
Favorite restaurant?
Arendelle.
Did you
wait, 1923. Oh, Arendelle. Oh, one of those two.
Okay, so food at 1923, show at Arendelle.
Yes.
Okay. Chris, any quick questions here?
No.
Favorite drink, the popsicle drink. So go and the outdoor lounges, ask for the drink with the popsicle. It's like the very top one on the menu. It's $1,000. It's not really. There is a $5,000 drink on that cruise ship. If only we could crowdsource that. The popsicle drink is my favorite.
Okay, favorite district.
The Dino District?
Yes, that's correct. There's only one district on the ship, and it's called the Dino District. Good job.
Thank you.
And how about a good place for adults without kids to hang out? I know, besides the Bayou Lounge, any place like up on the pool area, you know, kind of where we were, you know, kind of hanging out in those evenings. You still say that's like the best place?
Yes.
Up by, what can I say, the bar?
The Currents bar.
Currents, yeah.
It's like deck 13 forward, something like that. And I think it is deck 13 forward, actually. They have those little circle, like Pompous-on type chairs. That was great. By the way, in my cruise group, they talked about in that adult only in the Cove bar area, so the very back of the ship with the infinity pool, they were doing cannonball contests and like,
Really?
Where you jump and have your belly, what is it called?
Oh, belly flop contest?
Belly flop contest.
In that little pool?
Little tiny pool.
Wow.
So maybe they're trying to keep the dino district, like they're moving it to the back so that the adults can have their own dino district. So that was new. So if you think you're going to get a quiet time in the cove pool, you might not.
I've heard that from like several different people that's been rocking back there. So if you're looking for a more quiet place, maybe Currents is your place to be versus the Cove. But if you want to go party, that might be your place back there at the Cove. The one thing I did notice, that bar is so small back there. Like if there's a lot of people back there, I remember like we got back there like right before we even started to sail, we're going to do the drink of the day. And I think there's like maybe 3 people working back there, and it was a long line just to get a drink. So
now Diane, friends of the show and friends and listeners, said so she and Mark would go back there for sail away. And so like at 5 from sail away from these ports or whatever, she said it's empty back there. There's like not a person to be had.
Everybody's going to first dining. So yeah.
Or the show. Right.
Yeah, or the
so
show.
Nobody's just hanging out there. She's like, but it is quiet and lovely during sail away.
Okay, we'll turn to our final one. Say goodbye to Chris. Chris has got some stuff with his kiddo tonight. Back to school, first time ever. That's kind of cool. I like that. First time stuff and getting to experience all that parenthood things that a lot of
with a teenager.
Exactly. All right. A lot of speculation about the Disney Wonder, whether she's going to Australia. Speculation has continued to mount. A lot of this information comes from some of this information we've already had. We've talked about it on a previous podcast, but this comes from latteluxurynews.com. Is this someplace that you found it, Christy? Is this?
No, a client, one of our listeners who is a client who lives in Australia, actually sent me this and said, have you heard about this?
So maybe it's an Australian website. Anyways, so as we've been speculating, don't know for sure, but it's a good shot that the Wonder is going to be sailing to Australia. So let's look at some of the topics from this article and what they talked about. As we know, the Disney Wonder's last sailing is around October 2023. We'll get that date here in just a second.
And before we move on to the article, I ask like almost all the time when I get a good seasoned cast member at the phone lines for DCL. So if I get a good one like that, you just knows what's going on. I'm like, what have you heard? So there is still discussion that probably she will have a dry dock.
Okay, good to know.
But then she said, and they don't know for sure, but they, this is they're speculating as well, that some people have talked about Asia, but less likely, and that there's still some, the rumors they're hearing or whatever, but nothing is coming down about Australia. But dry dock, we should keep in mind, might be the first stop for the Wonder.
Actually, Vancouver's got a pretty good dry dock up there. So the last bookable sailing is September 19th, 2023. Once again, this is all speculation. This is coming from an article from latteluxurynews.com. And what they found out, and we talked about this already, that Magical Cruise Company Limited, that's the company that Disney Cruise Line operates under another mark. It's registered with the Australian Securities and Investment Commission in April of this year. As we said, Disney Wonder's current last bookable date is September 19th, 2023. They have come up through the Port Authority of New South Wales, which sometimes this is hard to find. I've tried to Google things, and maybe other people know where to look. I remember I was able to find that the Magic was going to Greece years ago because she showed up in the port of Heraclion, which is Athens, and they had listed there. And how I found that, I don't know. I don't even know. But
and one of our listeners figured out the Dream was going to Europe before that came out, based on the gross tonnage of the ship that was going to be in the ports next year.
Right. So here comes the speculation that they found that an unnamed vessel from an unnamed line has been assigned more than 20 berths between October of 2023 and February 16th, 2024 with the Port Authority of New South Wales.
Just doesn't that scream Disney? An unnamed vessel of an unnamed line. We're going to keep all of this a secret forever.
Meanwhile, like Princess and everything like that. It's like, oh, you want to go to Australia in 2025? We've got dates.
Let's take your money.
Let's take you there. Let's go if you want to go. I don't know why Disney has to make this like, oh, they're going to have like some big revealing. We'll see. Anyways, so October 2023 through February 16th, 2024, this unnamed vessel has 20 berths.
I'm going to make you read that sentence 17 times. Are they going to announce it at D23?
I don't think it's going to be D23. I think it'll be a separate thing. I think D23 is going to be about the next ship. That's the speculation, but they could.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah, that would be kind of exciting if they did, because I mean, they've got to start selling these soon if they're really going to do this. All right.
Fourth time's a charm.
Yes. With the Port Authority of New South Wales, the vast majority of the port calls are in Sydney at either the Overseas Passenger Terminal or White Bay Cruise Terminal. 4 ports are at Eden on New South Wales South Coast. The unnamed vessel is offering around a dozen short sailings of 3 to 5 nights, including what could be a 4-day Christmas sailing plus a week-long New Year's voyage.
That's weird to me. I mean, it's not. So if you think of when the Magic just did those England cruises back in 2020, 2021, it's to get the locals to come. But you know that there's going to be like true, like these long-term Disney fans that are going to want to get out there. And so I was shocked about the 3 to 5 nights until you think of, okay, fine, they just want to put the locals on there. But what about us?
Well, okay, hold on. So
I'm holding.
I totally see that, around Christmas time and everything like that. It's going to be expensive to get down to Australia. I know that people will be able to do that. So shorter sailings, around the Christmas time. And then they also say that the Mystery Cruise Line has also scheduled a number of what appears to be longer sailings, which could be for voyages to ports such as Melbourne, where we also have scheduled a series of round trips, trans-Tasman sailings, or cruises in the South Pacific. A search of the cruise port schedules for these locations does not yet yield any further information where else outside of New South Wales the unnamed line will be venturing. So longer sailings down around the island or Tasman Island. I know that there are cruise ships that go down there. Melbourne is a beautiful city. It would be a great stop, kind of similar to Los Angeles as far as the weather goes down there. My dad's got a cousin that lives down there. And here we go. In a further possible sign, the Disney Cruise Line is coming down under this week. CLIA, Cruise Line International Association, Australasia, confirmed DCL as the first-time exhibitor at Cruise 360 Australasia trade show being held next month in Sydney, a possible platform from which DCL could announce its intention for the local market and ramp up awareness with travel advisors. I really think the majority of their customers are going to be from Australia, though, to populate these sailings. It's a long ways. It's a lot of money to get down there. I know that a lot of us will, or a lot of people will try and get down there and sail on there. And hopefully, like you said,
a lot of us. Was that a little hint, or is it just a lot of listeners to our podcast?
A lot of listeners to our podcast.
I want it to be a lot of us.
Yeah. I don't know. We've got Australia on the books, but not until 2024, 2025. So it might work. We've got some family down there. And so that's
family in Australia as well.
Yeah. So that's our oldest. He wants to go there. That's kind of his graduation gift was to go down there. Nice gift. A lot of speculation there. Unnamed cruise line, unnamed ship. It's a good shot that it's probably going to happen. I think their main focus is going to be on a lot of Australians love Disney. They come up to the parks at Disneyland, over to Walt Disney World, especially around Disneyland. A lot of them come up through the LA area and vacation there. So I could see them being pretty successful like they were over in England with those magical staycations on board the Magic.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Well, speculation there.
I want it to be an us, though, because I might go. We might go. That's why I just need to make plans, because I am a planner. And this not knowing about a big thing that needs to occur next year is not working well for my planning anxiety nature.
Oh, I get that. And I mean, and that's why they got to announce it here. There's the twofold things. Like, that's why I think that their main focus is probably going to be on the locals, sailing on it, because if they don't announce it soon enough, it just makes it harder for a lot of people to book those vacations.
Do you think they'll go more than once? 1 year?
If it's successful, I mean, Princess goes down there, Royal goes down.
Celebrity, everybody does.
Yeah. So I think that, they say in this article too, that Australia is like a huge, and Disney, they say, here we go. Last month, Disney's Vice President of Marketing and Sales International, Jeff Van Langveld, I hope I'm not messing up his name, told media Australia and New Zealand are big cruise markets with a strong affinity for Disney. So naturally, that's going to be a big focus for us going forward. So
I like it. I want to know. My push for potentially next year is that I have this Wish 50% off coupon from my canceled cruise. And, if I could get Australia to be that much cheaper than that, I think I would move Alaska to do to do that.
Yeah, it'd depend upon, I wouldn't want to go down there for a 3 or 5 night. I'd want to be a longer one than that, and it'd have to stop at some pretty cool ports too.
Yes. Yeah. Or at least the ability for us. I mean, because we all can travel, places. Right? Yeah. So we can, and I want to get my kid there. But really, I went when I was 14. And I don't remember a ton of it. Mm-hmm. So even when you say, oh, if you go too young, people are always like, what is the age? Well, I don't know, because at 14, I don't remember. And that's kind of older. So I don't know, but I do want to go. And a 50% off coupon.
Burning a hole in your pocket.
Yeah. And some potential upgrade vouchers on flights make it all very appealing.
So that's the scuttlebutt on the Wonder. We'll try and get that one in one more time. I'm not sure if we can fit in Poop Deck, but I'm not even going to go there. All right. This is the end of our
That's definitely
September
the end
Cabana
of the show.
So a lot of different topics here. Disney Plus, if you're a subscriber. If not, if it's going to save you some money, go out there, subscribe Disney Plus. That's what they want. That's what they're pushing for this, to get some more people subscribing to Disney Plus, and to give you Disney Plus subscribers maybe a little bit of a thank you for being a loyal subscriber.
Well, and we all are up, right? Because most of us joined for 3 years. It's been 3 years. So our way super cheap promo pricing is gone.
Yeah.
And now they need to entice people to still be excited about it. There is we're going to talk about this. We didn't mention it. There is a fall or a December 20% off promotion for Walt Disney World for Disney Plus subscribers. So reach out to your travel agent if you want to see if your trip qualifies or if you want to book a trip.
And one last time before we get out of here, if people want to use your services, Christy, how can they get a hold of you?
You can reach me at Christy@packyourpixiedust.com is my email address, or you can go to packyourpixiedust.com, which is my website blog, and go to my contact me page and or contact info to get my phone number and other things of that nature.
Can I say this? Can I give a shout out to Joe Chung?
Yeah, sure.
For he got picked to be in touring plans. What is it? Was it the Walt Disney World?
Did he?
Yeah. He got picked to be one of their top agents for last year or this year.
Oh my God. So touring plans that has the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World, and they do surveys and they ask people to list their travel agents. Touring Plans now has their own travel agency, and shockingly enough, lots of their agents showed up on that list. But it looks
Joe is not one of them.
Steve is saying that Joe Chung from Travelmation Travel Agency, he has the podcast Disney Deciphered. We are big friends of his, big fans, love Joe. He does know a lot about Walt Disney World and travel hacking at that, because he's got another podcast as well where they discuss that. But congratulations, Joe. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was like one of the top 5, I believe. Can't remember top 5 or top 10, but I got his name listed in there. I saw that in a Touring Plans tweet. So I thought that was really cool. So congratulations, Joe. Good on you. Just a good guy. And yeah, make sure you go over and listen to Disney Deciphered. They do a great show, quick 30 minutes every week, and give you a lot of information about the parks and some of the other Disney experiences too, Disneyland and out of Talani. And every now and then we get to come on and talk Disney cruising with them.
Yeah, we were just on like a month ago, so you can check that out. We did like a 101 type episode on Disney cruising. So it's actually a good first episode, since so many of our 101 episodes are a little bit backdated. And really quick, since we're still talking, we all have to go. But if you could please continue to review us wherever you listen to our podcast and give us a, favorable 5-star review. We've had a couple. We are going to read those. We keep sort of meaning to, and then running out of time. So we will definitely read them in the future. We appreciate it. We see them when they're on iTunes, but because of those reviews, we are now getting found by other listeners, and that is fantastic. We really appreciate it. And so if you could keep sharing our show or writing reviews, we would appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate each and every one of you to take the time to do that. If you want to listen to Joe's show, he just got back on the Disney Wonder to Alaska. We're going to try and get him on and talk about his sailing, but he did a show over at Disney Deciphered. That's episode 237. And then go out and check out our show with him. Christy and I talked to him about Disney Cruise Line 101. That's episode 233 of Disney Deciphered. You can find out his show wherever you listen to podcasts. So with that, I guess we're going to get out of here. thanks for a fun September show. We got the concierge show coming up. I'm looking forward to that. And we have special guest of the show we haven't been on for a long time. He's been sailing on the Disney Wonder. Marcus Monroe is going to be back. Excited to bring that show to you here in the next couple of weeks as well. So thanks everybody for coming back and taking a listen. And we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.